Good morning, everybody. This race is for the County Council, Whatcom County Council at Large, Position B. There are four candidates on the primary ballot, and I'd like to introduce them now. One of them is missing, but I will introduce the three who are here. Eric Bostrom, Carol Frazey, and Aaron Thomas. Here is a description of the office. The County Council exercises its legislative power by adoption and enactment of ordinances and resolutions. The Council adopts plans for the present and future development of the county, conducts public hearings on matters of public concern, creates county government policy, creates land use rules, enacts public safety laws, and establishes the compensation for all county officers and employees, providing also for the reimbursement of expenses. The Council establishes, combines, and abolishes non-elective administration offices and executive departments, and establishes their powers and responsibilities except as otherwise provided by the county in the county Home Rule Charter. The Council levies taxes, appropriates revenue, and adopts the county budget, and among its other duties, it sets the speed limits, no shooting zones, and animal control regulations. Our County Council consists of 7 members who serve 4-year terms. The current annual salary is $31,243 a year. Our candidates today will be elected for a 1-year term, since he or she will be filling a vacancy on the council. We're going to follow the same rules as were used in the legislative race. The candidates will have 2 minutes each for an opening statement. They will have 1 minute to respond to each question, and will make a 1-minute closing statement. Each candidate has a challenge card. Show them your card, please. Okay. These candidates may use this card to challenge or rebut their opponent's response. The challenging candidate will have 45 seconds to challenge, and the challenge opponent will have 45 seconds to respond to the challenge. Each candidate may use their challenge card only one time during this forum and during the question and answer period. Candidates will simply hold up the card when they wish to challenge your opponent on a particular question, but please wait until all candidates have responded to the question before making your challenge. Our timers today, I introduce them again, are in front of you here, Betsy Gross and Carol Como. And the timers will flash a yellow sign, which means you have 15 seconds left in your response, and a red sign that signals your time is up. If a candidate continues talking, a bell will ring, and that means you better stop talking. We ask that the candidates be respectful of the time allotted due to the limited amount of time that we have and our desire to include as many questions as possible. An important goal of the League is civil discussion. We ask that those in the audience be respectful and refrain from comments, as well as hold your applause, please, until the conclusion of each segment of this forum. We encourage members of the audience to provide written questions for the candidates. Questions you submit will be asked of all the candidates. So raise your hand if you want to hand a question to one of the ushers, and they will bring them up to the screeners at the table on my right down here. The questions will be screened by League members Alex Wiley and Jean Carmine, and they will be screening only for legibility and clarity and to avoid duplication. I'm going to vary the order for candidate responses during the forum. And now that we all know what the rules are, let's get started. Timers, are you ready? Okay. We'll start with your opening statements, and as I said, this is going to be in random order. So the first opening will be from candidate Thomas. You have 2 minutes.
Aitzquachil, good morning. My name is Aaron Thomas. I'm running for the Whatcom County at-large position. When I first put my name in the hat, I wanted to really focus on 3 platform areas: affordable housing, the safer schools, and making our schools safer for our children, and restorative justice. And as I've been door-belling and knocking on doors, I've been learning more and more about a lot of the issues that we face here living in magical Whatcom County. And we've been noticing that it's just that we're growing at a really amazing pace here. And so we have to manage that growth. How are we going to do that in the next year to 4 years or 3 years if I get reelected next year? My goal is to take your ideas and take your concerns and bring them to the Whatcom County Council table. I'm very blessed to be a part of the Lummi Nation community right now and have helped do grassroots areas in housing and homelessness in Lummi Nation. And as a community volunteer, I felt this was the only the way for me. I kind of dead-ended myself, and to be able to speak to a broader audience and to be able to help and make more impact in our community, I put my name in for county council. I'm really thankful to all those that have shared with me your stories. And again, thank the League of Women Voters and Bellingham High School and all those that are watching too. Thank you so much for sharing with me your ideas, and I can't wait to roll up my sleeves and to continue on to assist our beautiful county and making it better as we grow, and to be able to take a look at some really tough issues and go towards them. And so I'm really thankful for the many comments and those that have come aboard and want to endorse me to run and be a part of this great process. My name is Aaron Thomas. Haishka.
And next, Carol Frazey.
Hello, I am Carol Frazey. I'm running for Whatcom County Council at Large. And I'd like to thank everyone who put in effort to make this happen today, and also everyone that came to listen when you could be out in the sun. I am a small business owner. I'm a former teacher. I'm the mother of 2 teenagers and the wife of a Whatcom Community College instructor. My husband, Paul, and I, we moved here 18 years ago, and we feel like it's one of the best decisions we've ever made. But 18 months ago, for myself and for a lot of people in Whatcom County, we feel like our values were not being reflected at the national level. Our values of diversity, of inclusion, of equality, of environmental protection were not and are not being reflected at the national level. So when I asked around other people, there's a lot you can do locally. We can protect our environment. We can protect the most vulnerable. So that is why I am running for Whatcom County Council at Large. My focus is on a healthy Whatcom County, and that's on individual health, environmental health, and economic health. And that's creating policies, and we already have great services, supporting the services that already exist for individual health, taking people from where they are mentally and physically, and helping them thrive. For environmental health, preserving the natural beauty and the natural resources we already have here in Whatcom County. And then for economic health, we need that base. So supporting the businesses that are already here and also attracting innovative businesses and industries that will provide family living wage jobs for us and our future generations. So if we can build that foundation of health for individuals, the economy, the environment, we can allow a place where people can succeed. I'm Carol Frazey. I'm running for Whatcom County Council at Large. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bostrom.
Thank you, Women League of Voters, and all you who came out today to hear us. My people originally came from Sweden 4 generations ago, and I'm the 4th generation of my family to live and work in Bellingham. I have 4 children and 7 grandchildren. The 4 children moved away to California because of much better job opportunities there. I'm also been in 4 elections. I have won 2 and lost 1. Actually, 3 elections. This is the 4th election is what I meant to say. Now, I'm the only candidate, and this is kind of why I'm running. As I watch the county council interact over the last couple years, there seems to be a lot of polarization both in the people who show up to interact and on the council itself. And I believe I'm the only candidate who could really address the many sides, and I'll tell you why. I'm the only candidate who's not represented by a special interest political party or something along those lines. And I'll give you an example. Now, I just met Carol, and a very nice person, and she has a long list of endorsements from the Democrats to the unions to the riveters, and very impressive. The only difficulty I see with that is, what about the people on the other side? Will she represent them? I know she'll represent those that are supporting her. And then with Aaron Thomas, I met him last year at the tiny home thing he had out at Lummi, and was impressed with him. And he's represented by the various nations of Lummi, Nooksack, and so on. I can represent the Native Americans, but and so can he. But can he represent the rest? Thank you.
All right, now we'll start with our first question. How do you think your experiences would shape and inform your work for the council if you are the successful candidate? And we'll start with candidate Frazey.
I think my experience of I grew up on a farm, and I know what it's like when there's a drought. I know I know the stress of the family. I know when there's regulations put on the farms. But farmers also know that they want a clean environment for their children and grandchildren. So I think that experience allows me to communicate with farmers. I understand what you're going through, and we're all looking out for our children. How can we do this? I'm also the first generation to attend college in my family. And knowing both sides, knowing both sides of what it's like to try to find a job without a college education, what it's like to find jobs with a college education, having that experience, also being a mother, and knowing what that's like. So I feel like those experiences help me see both sides and come together and find common ground. Thank you.
All right, candidate Bostrom.
Yes. I too grew up on a farm, but it wasn't a working farm. It was more of a hobby of my dad's. He wanted his boys to not be like the city kids and learn how to work. So we had horses, cows, chickens, ducks. We did all kinds of chores, and he made us work, and I'm thankful for that experience. And from that, I appreciate farmers. My brother's a veterinarian in Linden with the dairy cows. Also, my dad's ethics and values he instilled in us were work and economics. And the whole point, you have to make money if you're going to spend money. And this is something that many times we don't see happening in government. We have to make money, and we have to have more of a tax base and jobs if we're going to be able to pay for all the programs that we need to have. And then thirdly, my experience in the ministry, I've had to work with many different people, and many people who had different views than me. I've successfully worked over many years with people who had opposite views to myself, and I still love them. Thank you.
And candidate Thomas.
I grew up in a gigantic family here, not even maybe a few blocks away on A Street. And, we grew up very, very poor. One bathroom in the whole house, and 15 kids living there. And I've also helped deal with a lot and made impact with and got the great experience of working with our homeless living in Lummi Nation. And that experience alone is exactly one of the reasons why I decided to put my name in for this position. As homelessness, and how many of us are one paycheck away from being homeless? And I've literally went out into the behind Olive Garden and into the woods and helped our homeless get into family homes and apartments where they're living at now, over 30 families so far. In a work at economic development on our economic development commission at Lummi Nation and Horizon Middle School, and working with our kids. I think my experiences have really helped shape where I'm going to be going for Whatcom County.
Thank you. The next question is, what legislation would you make a personal priority to get passed and why? And we'll start with candidate Bostrom.
Yes, I am very much passionate about people being able to afford a home or own a home, rent a home, have a home, and live here. And so I would make affordable housing both in terms of the poor and in terms of those who are not so poor that still can't afford to buy the house that they would normally have with the kind of incomes that are here. So I would really work on affordable housing. Realtors say and others say that there's just not enough demand, there's not enough inventory. And so we've got to expand the urban growth areas a little bit more and be compliant with the what has been set up before us. And there's many different kinds of homes that we can work on, whether it's small, whether it's medium-sized, or whatever. But it would be affordable housing.
Candidate Frazey.
People in Whatcom County value treatment over incarceration, and I think that needs to happen before we have a new jail here. I don't know if the jail question is going to come up later, but we need to have assessment tools in place so we take out the racial bias before people go in jail. We need to have pretrial services to help those who are going through the system, helping them get to the trial on time, get to their appointments, direct them to services. And that needs to be put into place before we need to make changes in the whole criminal justice system. 60% are in jail pre-trial. That means they're innocent until proven guilty. Now, some of those people do belong in there, but it's not that many. So that's where I would put the effort.
And candidate Thomas.
I think the initiatives that have been talked about already right now on the table have been ones I would want to work on. I think one that no one really is talking about is how do we make our schools safer from a gunman coming into our schools. I work at Horizon Middle School in Ferndale, and every day I wonder, is this going to be the day that a gunman's going to come in? And we protect slot machines in casinos more than we do our own kids. And I'm hearing that more and more from especially our mothers, who, again, they drop them off at the beginning of school and they wonder, gosh, make sure you call me, make sure you text me. I mean, it's really scary. I'd like to have legislation and bring all of our schools together, bring our parents together and our teachers and our students together to really come up with a comprehensive plan to make schools safer. And that, again, that's something that no one really is talking about in Whatcom County. I want to be the first county in the state to make that legislation and work with the folks that were up here a little while ago running for other state legislation. Heichka.
Thank you. This is your third question. Do you think the county has a role in creating living wage jobs? And if so, what ideas do you have? And we'll start with candidate Frazey.
Yes, I do think we have a role in helping have living wage jobs for our community. And I think that first starts with an infrastructure that's strong, and that's fast, reliable internet service throughout the entire county. Right now, East County, they can't get that. You can't have an industry or even a job at home or education at home if we don't have fast, reliable internet service. Working with the Port of Bellingham, working with the Public Utilities District, someone on the Whatcom County Council, working together to make that happen. I started a business at home in 2004. I remember staying up with, I had little kids at the time, but pushing the button to send a PDF. I had a newsletter for helping childhood obesity, and I sold it to schools all over the country. And I'd hit the PDF, send it. It would take 20 minutes. I'd set my alarm to sleep and then send one again. So I know what that's like. We need that infrastructure. We need fast, reliable internet service.
Candidate Bostrom.
Yes. Now, I heard at some point that Amazon was interested in coming here, but for the sake of discussion, let's just say Amazon-like companies. If they come here, the problem is their workers can't find a place to live, or the housing is too expensive to fit the job. We actually in Whatcom County have one of the largest counties in the state of discrepancy between what people earn and and the price of the house, which is more, which is like in places where they have much better job opportunities. As I mentioned, my children moved away because of better opportunities other places. So it comes back to the housing again. So we need to be ready for these type companies to come, otherwise they won't come, and we won't grow, and there will not be the kind of the kind of jobs that we're talking about, which I support. Thank you.
And Candidate Thomas.
Hi, Shka. Yes, I think it is definitely Whatcom County Council's role to look at not only livable wage jobs, but looking at the approved Whatcom comprehensive plan that was approved back in 2016. Take a look at that plan and dust it off if we have to, and really look at solutions to bringing not only more jobs available, look at the current businesses that are here and how we can try to generate more, bonuses for them to create more jobs there. But also, I'm an entrepreneur. I just opened up a early learning center at Lummi Nation. We need more small businesses. We need more entrepreneurs here that will also be able to create more jobs for our Whatcom County residents. We have so many people coming and living in Whatcom County because it's so beautiful here that we got to make plans for not only them, but the ones that are coming out of high school, ones that are coming back from college. We need more jobs to be able to help us so that we eliminate the homeless issue and make it affordable housing better.
Okay, we all agreed that you do have a role in attracting jobs and that we need more jobs in our community. So tell me specifically what you would do to attract these kinds of jobs. And we'll start, with Candidate Bostrom.
Yeah, I think we should actually start looking at the idea of giving incentives to companies that will come and help us here, rather than do the opposite, which so often happens, making it so hard to do. Just like when somebody starts a business, there's so many hoops they have to jump through and so many fees and so on. It's the same way when the company comes in here. So we need to give incentives, we need to eliminate the roadblocks that are here, and we need to act like, see, your views are reflected on how you act. And if we act like we don't want them here, they won't come here. But if we act like we want them here, they'll come here. It's just like when you have somebody over your house. If you act like you don't want any visitors, you probably won't get any. But if you act like and you're hospitable, then people want to come over, and people will come here because it's such a great place. And so they'll come if we build it, and they will come. Thank you.
Candidate Frazey.
Like I said before, we need to first have the infrastructure where businesses want to come here, and supporting the businesses we already have here. We have some very creative, interesting businesses all over the county. And we also have the Small Business Development Center, which is free for people to come. I went there in 2003 and 2004, and free services for you to help you get started on a business. But we need to work with the development director from the port, Bellingham Port, from Public Utilities District and County Council, again, I'll say, to attract those businesses and bring them here. And also just having that infrastructure, having the fast, reliable internet service. Also, the infrastructure underground needs to be there. There's some retail that's North County that we can't develop the land next to it because there wasn't infrastructure to begin with. So we need to plan for long term.
And Candidate Thomas.
As a small business owner myself, I really firmly believe that we do need more jobs and more businesses to come and grow from Whatcom County. I think exactly what my opponents are saying in terms of lessening the hoops and working with the port. I think we've got a tremendous opportunity with the port, with the waterfront that needs to be fulfilled, and working with the Lummi Nation and working with Nooksack as well, and to do what we can to try to generate businesses and bring businesses here that work with our values. and making sure that if we're a community that loves solar, and to get us off the grid, so to speak, and create more green jobs, then let's do what we can to bring in those businesses that can create and manufacture solar panels, for example. And I think the more we do that, the more that we're going to start feeling really, really good about businesses that are opening up and ribbon cuttings and doing what we can to generate more jobs here in Whatcom County.
Okay. Next question is, the Cherry Point Industrial Zone, speaking of jobs, was established 50 years ago to take advantage of its deep water port. As the world, national, and local economies evolve, what are your goals for using this area? And we'll start with Carol Frazey.
Cherry Point, I want to support the jobs that are there already. That's important. Developing that land, I know the development director is looking into different industries that could come into that area, and we need to keep the creativity coming with that, because I think our majority of people in this county value non-carbon jobs. Not everyone, but most. And I think we need to, we can do a lot of production here with the farms. We send off our farms, our berries, and they go to China or wherever, and then they get packed up and they come back here for us to buy. So there's a lot we can do here with industry, and then maybe it leaves from here instead. So just being creative with those and looking Cherry Point, making that industry area very productive.
Candidate Thomas.
Quachican is the word that we use in our language for Cherry Point area. And I'm so very thankful for all those who came out and supported us to stop the coal from coming into our waters. And it really raised a humongous flag for all of us to say, what can we really do with that area? Can we create more of a vision that, again, that attaches our own values, not only from Bellingham and Ferndale and Linden, but also at Lummi Nation and at Nooksack? What can we do there to generate more tourism opportunities for us, for example, that doesn't hurt the environment, that can actually celebrate how we're all together? I agree with my opponent about the protecting the jobs that are already there. I've been going to county council meetings lately, and we've been seeing a lot of the unions coming through and asking for the county support. And again, we need to do what we can to generate an environment where we all feel really good about that part of the area of our beautiful community.
So what are your ideas about protecting residents and the environment from
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Sorry. Oh, did I miss you? I'm so sorry.
Well, that's okay.
It's your turn.
I'm okay, yeah. I won't cry or anything.
I'm glad.
But a lot of times when you talk about Cherry Point, it seems to always sort of move into an area where it's the Lummi Nation versus the jobs or something like this, even though that may not be accurate. I have a lot of friends, I mean a lot of friends that are Lummi and Nooksack and Yakima, because I'm from Yakima. And I've always had great respect for the First Nations. And I don't think there has to be a problem between the tribes and developing at Cherry Point. Now, I realize that that's not the view of others, but I'm telling you what my view is. I support a Lummi partnership with people who want to create better jobs, more jobs, to create a tax base, a growing tax base, to pay for the stuff we're talking about. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to pay for it. So I support a partnership. Thank you.
Well, that led right into the next question. How do you handle opposing points of view that differ from yours? And we'll start with candidate Thomas.
A personal quick story. I just met my biological father, who didn't know I was alive, and come to find out that he's a staunch Republican. And so, yeah, the first couple of coffee sessions we had were a little bit interesting. But the interesting thing about all this, and as much as I knock on doors And there's been a few doors that actually did, when they heard I was Native American, they actually closed the door on me, which is interesting. But at the end of the day, you know, we're all passionate about living here and wanting the best, not only for today, but for the 7 generations after us. And that's exactly what I hope to bring. I use that word, the phrase, together we're better. And I'm not just saying that. I really do believe that we will only create a better Whatcom County when we are working together, when we can look at each other and be able to shake hands after we disagree and say, what's the best solution for today and for our great-great-great-grandkids after us? That's what I really, really firmly believe, that and I know we can do that here in Whatcom County.
Candidate Frazey.
Finding common ground is always important, whether it be the basis. Sometimes you have to start as far back as, oh, we're both human, but finding that common ground is very important. And like I said, I grew up on a farm. I grew up in rural Pennsylvania, so a lot of my relatives are still back there. And we have different views on politics and things like that a lot of the time. But finding that common ground, and, you know, even if it's something simple. And I think all of us can agree, we all want the best for our children and grandchildren, and that's one area too, not only humanness, but the grandchildren and grandchildren. And that's where environment comes in and things like that. All of us are not going to be sitting here in 100 years, and we know that, and we need to think long-term with everything we do. Thank you.
And Candidate Bostrom.
Yes, I love this question. I have a reputation a few years back where I took a little bit time out of the ministry where I went open air preaching, and some people, that's the only thing that they think of when they think of me. But when they meet me, they find out I'm not like the rumors say I am. But I'm actually a very nice person, and people who know me know that, but they like to spread rumors. I'm kind of a dichotomy because I'm for business, but I'm also very environmental and green. For instance, I drive a Prius and I live in 358 square feet by choice, and I love it. I love our environment, and I love the Native Americans, and I love people having enough money. I want you to have enough money. I want my children to be able to live here and thrive. So all those can be in one box. And so that's how we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, seeing as we are looking at a potential of a pipeline coming down with the fracked oil and from Canada and the Kinder Morgan pipeline, which is already sending us some through trains. What are your ideas about protecting residents and the environment from potential hazards of transporting fossil fuels by pipeline or trains through our county and ships transiting the Salish Sea? And we will start with, my grid is a little confusing because we're missing a candidate. And we'll start with Candidate Frazey.
With the pipelines, this is not something most of us value in this community. And we know we use, even with the Prius, you use you use gas. But having that frack oil come through here is not something we value. And if there's any way that could discontinue, that'd be great. But we need to focus on building the industries that will provide living wage jobs that are non-carbon and that don't have the fracked oil. But as for the, I will look into and I will ask around and we will get the answers of how we can limit that. We need to protect the people around that area. We know, our community knows what it's like when pipelines don't work right. And we know that, and we can come together and make it less or none. So thank you.
Candidate Bostrom.
Yeah, in the earlier discussion preceded this one, I support what Councilman Brown talked about. So I believe that we need to have safeguards. And actually, I like Red Brown's ideas a lot, the way he brings business and these things together. I probably wouldn't agree on everything, but that's the kind of the approach that I'd be in favor of. And I think we need to protect our environment from these toxic things. But I would also point out to you that probably every person here drove here in a car that had fossil fuel. And I'm glad you made it here. Thank you.
Candidate Thomas?
Yeah, I'm really glad you guys are here too. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we are dependent on fossil fuels. However, we can sit back and allow it, or we can go towards it and do what we can as a county to say no to fossil fuels like we did at Cherry Point. We want to be able to create and bring businesses here that will utilize our beautiful environment that we have. How many of us live near the water where the wind blows quite a bit? Or, you know, as much as solar does run on sunshine, and we don't get a lot of that sometimes, it can run on other types of solar. So I think, you know, when it comes to fossil fuels, we have to begin and continue to put our foot down and say that does not belong here. We don't want to continue the movement to bringing fossil fuels, whether it's transported through train or by boat. We want to do what we can to create green jobs and create alternative ways for us to power our Priuses, because I have a Prius as well, and do what we can to, you know, work on that in the next few years. Haishka.
Thank you. Water supply, water rights, and water quality will continue to be a county-wide concern. What actions would you recommend the county government take to assure a safe, reliable, and adequate water supply for all uses in Whatcom County, especially during the summer months when demand is at its peak? And we'll start with candidate Bostrom.
Well, I believe that some of that has already been mitigated in the Hertz decision fix, and the county council's role was not so much that. That was a statewide thing, but then their county comes back and kind of regulates the number of gallons that are pumped out each day, or so on. And so I believe that's already kind of en route. It rains a lot here. I was just over in Yakima for my class reunion yesterday, and it's desert. And then you come back here, and there's a lot of water. I think sometimes the water situation is overstated. I think we're doing pretty well with water, and I think the county council is on top of it, and I support what they're doing. Thank you.
Candidate Frazey?
I think we need to protect the water we have now. We need to bring the tribes together, the developers together, the farmers together, the community together. And I know the county council has been trying to do this, but bringing everyone together and get those water flow models going. Our water isn't going that well. I mean, especially even our Lake Whatcom, we need to increase the HIP program where homeowners, they educate them. We need to also and be creative about what we do with water. And I know there's probably laws and rules right now, but being creative with post-consumer water, you know, the stuff we just, you know, down at the point where after they clean it, it flowed out into the ocean. And there's probably laws that will, but maybe they need to be changed, because there's a lot. I mean, Las Vegas does this. We need to really be creative about water. Water is our greatest asset here.
And candidate Thomas.
I think, you know, coming from the Lummi tribe and working along with some of the elected officials out there, I feel like I'm very much in a unique position to be able to work with the tribes, to have these conversations and bring us to the table, either formally or informally. And, you know, understanding that half of my tribal members live off the reservation. They live right next to you, most likely. That we're all in this together. And you know, I do want to look at other alternative ways to use secondary water, water that is literally like candidate Bostrom was saying, that it rains a lot here. It really does. And how can we utilize that rain to help our farmers? For example, we might not be able to drink that water, but maybe we could use it to help, create more farmland and vegetation. I'd also like to, the Hearst fix, although it was there, it really has hindered our rural area homeowners, and we got to figure out how we can use water banks and other types of ways to try to get very, very creative with this issue.
Thank you. Whatcom County residents have twice rejected a jail tax to construct a new jail. What do you believe is the best approach to addressing issues with the current jail? And we'll start with candidate Frazey.
I've taken a tour of the jail. We need a new jail. It is not humane for the workers. It is not humane for those who are in it. And where that has to be and how big it is, we have to agree on that. Smaller jail, people are asking. I went to the criminal justice tour, 3 of them, and people want treatment over incarceration. We need to put that in place first before we have a jail. That means, like I said before, pretrial services to help people get to their trials. We need an assessment tool so that there's not the racial bias when someone comes into the jail. These need to be in place. We need to take care of the mental health problems, the drug addiction. Those people should not be in jail. They just need help. And we need to put those services in place first before we consider a new jail.
Thank you. Candidate Bostrom.
Yeah, I think the whole situation's a mess over many years, and it's not getting solved. And how about we put people first and care about people? And I think the most compassionate thing we can do, now you got to stay with my whole statement here, but the most compassionate thing we can do is get a new jail, and I support very vigorously mental health parts in the jail, and also drug treatment as separate wings of the situation. And that's the most compassionate thing we can do for people. But just to have a jail that's falling apart, it's not right, and it needs to be fixed. We need a jail, and we need to do it in such a way that's maybe even unique to Whatcom County, where it looks like we really care about people. And this impacts even the homeless situation with the drug abuse and the other one I mentioned, drug abuse and mental health. Thank you.
And candidate Thomas.
In looking at the inmates at Whatcom County Council, over 25% of them are coming from tribal reservations. So this issue is gigantic for me personally. And I really do agree with what my opponents here are saying in terms of, no new jail, putting more capital investment into the current one we have, and protecting not only the inmates but also those that work with the inmates every single day. I also believe that we need to start teaching our incarcerated how to have respect. Because if you look at some of the best practices, countries like Norway has a 16% recidivism rate, whereas America has got 75%. And the main thing that they're teaching in Norway is how to have more respect for themselves and for others and the others' property. So how do we do that? We got to start creating more programs, and not only doing the mental health and the other things that my opponents have been talking about, but also the way that we conduct business inside our county. We also have folks that shouldn't be in there that should be in other prisons, like the state and other parts of the country.
Thank you. Most residents agree that we have a homeless problem. How do you view the council's unanimous approval of temporary tent encampments and alternative housing shelters? Do you have alternate ideas that you think would work better? Please explain your approval or disapproval of this action and where you see the funds coming from to solve this problem. And we'll start with candidate Thomas.
I completely support Whatcom County Council's decision. I was actually there when they made that decision, and publicly have thanked them for this. Again, I've worked directly with our homeless, and it's not just a Lummi or Nooksack thing. This is all over Whatcom County, and it's going to grow if affordable housing isn't taken care of immediately. We need more supply. We need more multi-income level dwellings for not only homeless folks, but those that are single family, those are multiple families that live together. We need more supply of housing. And I think that's where we can, as a county council, we can fund the nonprofit organizations of our community and say, go after that land, go after that dwelling, go get that construction company that's going to come in and build that right away. I think tiny homes is a new movement that's happening all across America, especially with our young ones, the ones that are in their 20s and 30s. They really want to live less off the land. Why don't we create a tiny home villages all around Whatcom County that's safe, that's clean, and that will protect our people?
Candidate Frazey.
I support that from what the county council came up with. And there are so many great programs that exist in Whatcom County to help the people who are experiencing homelessness. And we need to keep continuing to support them. Also, helping people stay out of homelessness, there's a lot of programs for that, and helping people move into homes. But having those temporary places is important. To get that money, we're going to need to attract innovative businesses and industries, because they're the things that are going to bring that tax base so that we can have these great programs that we all value. You know, we are very loving people in this community and very want to give and help. And that's where we're going to get the funds from. And yes, I do support that.
Candidate Bostrom.
As a former Lighthouse Mission chaplain and as a downtown resident, this is an issue very close to my heart. In fact, this is why I got in the city council race last year. I was the only one that I knew of talking about the homeless situation. Now everybody's talking about it. They used to call that leadership. The thing is, though, as far as I support tiny homes that people can own and that they buy or rent. I don't support giving it to people. I also don't like the tent thing, because if there's not water and sewer in these places, I think we need to do these things where there is. And I think the real thing that's missing in the homeless discussion, because I introduced it, but I'm not able, I would like to be able to be on the decision making, is we're not dealing with the subject of enablement. And that's where the problem really lies. The Lighthouse Mission is still there. It's been there for 100 years, and they still do a great work. And it's not the only way, but it's what we have. Thank you.
So we have a challenge from you, Aaron.
Yes. I wanted to ask Mr. Bostrom, I know him and I toured the Lummi Stepping Stones, which is a group that I work with.
Yeah. And,
you know, we work with Homes Now, Not Later, and Jen Peterson in the group, who have tirelessly helped with getting that tent. That's something that they're looking for, you know, more land, and we need more of that. And I want to challenge the thought there that he says that we don't need that because they don't have water and sewer. Well, you know, as the winter months are coming, we need a place for our people that's safe and it's away from other folks. Can you explain a little bit more about the tent city part?
Well, is this on? Yeah. Like I said, if there's not water and sewer, I don't think it's an idea that's is a sustainable type idea as far as being able to continue it. I think that's something that could be done in the city. The city council and mayor seem to reject it. I'm very much in favor of homeless solutions, but I think I'm in favor of targeted, specific homeless solutions. I'm not just across the board just handing out things, because what that does, it's been proven on the whole west coast of the United States, even over in Yakima where I just was, is the more that these things are done, the more homeless people there are, and they seem to be attracted to these kind of programs. And I think the program is missing one link. We need to say no enablement. We need to start thinking differently.
Thank you. How do you all feel about the hate groups in America and how they affect Whatcom County? And we'll start with candidate Frazey.
The hate groups have increased since the November 2016 election. Maybe they haven't increased, but they've been coming out of the woodwork. And we do have them in Whatcom County. And we've seen little simple things that occur, like broken windows where certain people of color are as a picture of them, or certain signs. we need to be aware of that, and it cannot exist here. We can't allow it. I think this community is very progressive in that I think we value, people I hang out with, I should say, value diversity, value equality. We need to be aware that they exist and not allow it to continue.
All right, Canada's Bostrom.
Yes, I visited the Democratic Party a few months ago just as a visitor, and I wanted to just have some dialogue, and I went to their meeting, and they told me I was not allowed in the meeting because I wasn't a Democrat. And really, at this point, I'm not really anything, except I'm non-party. I'm just a human being. And anyway, the lady running it said, if you don't leave now, I'm going to call the cops. Now, to me, that feels like hate. Now, I don't hate anybody, and I think this is an issue in Whatcom County that I really am interested in solving. You see, I don't hate anybody, and people who know me, they love me. So I would just say this, if you hate me, you don't know me. So, but I think that this situation needs to be addressed, and we need a greater diversity on every level in county government, not just one kind of diversity. I'm talking about real diversity that would include me. And I think I could help this situation tremendously. Thank you.
Candidate Thomas.
I am the president and thankful to be president of the Voice for Violet, an anti-bullying group that's here in Whatcom County. And every single day we figure out how are we able to try to instill in our youth and their parents, how do we get us to have an acceptable community where all of us are accepted for not our race, our gender, our income, etc. How do we do that? And it starts with all of us, and it starts with each and one of us today. And, respecting those that disagree with that is okay. They have got their First Amendment right to be able to say that, as long as it doesn't impede our livelihoods and it doesn't impede other things. We need to not only, I think we should be out there putting more signs of love out there in our community. And again, another reason why I wanted to step in and help out in this public service is exactly what Bostrom's talking about in providing diversity on Whatcom County Council. So we just need more love.
Well, I forgot to tell you that was your last question, and now we're going to move on to your closing statements. And we're going to start with you, Candidate Bostrom.
Yes, thank you. I believe I'm the only candidate who's really talking about the issues. Now, in this context, we all talk about the issues, but if you look at people's Facebook page and they look at their websites, very few people are talking about issues. I do. You can look at it on my page. Anyway, I'm also the only candidate who's not represented by a special interest, which I described earlier. And thirdly, I'm the only candidate running in the race who's truly a fiscal conservative. I said fiscal conservative. I might be a little bit libertarian in some other issues, but I'm a fiscal conservative. We need to have money for a tax base to do programs, and we need to not spend money that we don't have. Thank you. I hope you'll vote for me and take a chance on something new. Thank you.
All right. Next one would be Candidate Thomas.
I definitely want to thank all those that took the time to listen to us and to vote for us. I'm thankful that people are voting. And again, I want to, again, together we're better. That's what I really believe in, that we can do this together, that a vote for me, a vote for Aaron Thomas is going to be someone that's going to vote and be part of the discussion. I am a communicator. I feel like when I see an issue, I go after and I try to figure out how we can work together, not only with the other county council members, but also the department heads and also the state, and making sure that we're following and doing the things that they're mandating for us to do, and working with the tribes. Again, together we're better. I think we really have this opportunity to actually elect the very first Lummi tribal member to Whatcom County Council, which I think would be a historic day for all of us to be able to say, yes, we believe in the same values that this person has. that's listened to us and that he's taken this to the county. Again, you can see me at aaron4countycouncil.com. That's aaron4countycouncil.com. Hi, Chika.
And candidate Frazey.
Yes, thank you for everyone for coming out today and also the efforts that you put in to make this happen. We're really at a crossroads in Whatcom County. You know, we're having rapid growth, the housing is increasing, the prices, and also the cost of living. But I think going in with a plan, having a solid plan of healthy Whatcom County, you know, having policies in place, having supporting the services that focus on individual health, environmental health, and economic health, again, provides that foundation we need. Having a plan to move forward is really important. I want to be part of the conversation where we can bring our grandchildren here, that they can come back, where they can live, where they can work, where they can play, and they can afford. I'm Carol Frazey. I'm running for Whatcom County Council, and I'd be honored to serve you on this position. Thank you.
Right, I did want to announce that we did invite Mike Petum to come today, and he sent us an email this morning and said he was unable to come. So let's all thank the candidates here, though, for running for office and for being here today.